De Gustibus by Robert Browning, 1812 to 1889. Your ghost will walk, you lover of trees, if our love remains, in an English lane by a cornfield-side, a-flutter with poppies. Hark, those two in the hazel coppice, a boy and a girl, if the good fates please, making love, say, the happier they. Draw yourself up from the light of the moon, and let them pass as they will too soon, with the bean flower's boon, and the blackbird's tune, and May and June. What I love best in all the world is a castle, precipice-encurled, in a gash of the wind-grieved Apennine. Or look for me, old fellow of mine, if I get my head from out of the mouth of the grave, and loose my spirit's bands, and come again to the land of lands, in a seaside house to the farther south, where the baked cicada dies of drouth, and one sharp tree, 'tis a cypress, stands by the many hundred years red rusted, rough iron spiked, ripe fruit are crusted, my sentinel to guard the sands to the water's edge, for what expands before the house but the great opaque blue breadth of sea without a break, while in the house for ever crumbles some fragment of the frescoed walls, from blisters where a scorpion sprawls, a girl barefooted brings and tumbles down on the pavement green flesh melons, and says, "There's news today, the king was shot at, touched in the liver wing, goes with his Bourbon arm in a sling. She hopes they have not caught the felons. Italy, my Italy, Queen Mary saying serves for me, when fortune's malice lost her Calais. Open my heart and you will see graved inside of it, Italy. Such lovers of old are I and she, so it always was, so shall ever be." Okay, this is a poem by Robert Browning. Robert Browning was a British poet. He was born in Southwark in South London. I think his father worked for the Bank of England, but he came from quite a wealthy family. He courted Elizabeth Barrett, and her father refused to give them permission to get married, so they ran away and got married and went to live in Italy. And he lived in Italy, and he even died in Italy for many years. Now, what's the poem about? Well, the title, De Gustibus. De gustibus non est disputandum. It means there's no disputing taste. You can't argue about taste. Yeah, because different people have different taste. And you can't say one person's taste is wrong and another's is right. We all have different tastes. And then the poem goes on to talk about England, and I think he feels nostalgia about England. And he talks about I think the England of his youth. And then in the second part of the poem, he goes on to talk about Italy, and he believes that after he dies, his soul will go to Italy, and he will have Italy engraved upon his heart. The poem also has this idea that the places where we have been, where we have spent our lives, are part of us. That these are something that are in us. And for him, yes, he feels nostalgia about the England of his youth, but for him, he loves Italy, and for him, Italy is the place where he will always be. And he says that he loves Italy, and he will always love Italy even after death. So, your ghost will walk, you lover of trees, if our love remains in an English lane. So, part of him will, part of him after he's died, part of his ghost will walk in an English lane in the English countryside. This is something that will always be part of him, loving the English trees, and the English trees are beautiful. By a cornfield-side, a-flutter with poppies. So, as you walk down this lane, beside this this lane is a cornfield, and the cornfield is full of these red poppies. Hark, those two in a hazel coppice. So listen, two people in a hazel coppice. Hazel is a type of wood, and coppice is a way to cut it in order to get long, thin stakes. A boy and a girl, so there's a boy and a girl making love in this hazel coppice. Maybe they're courting, or maybe more, if the good fates please. But remember, all of life is run by the fates, that things can change in the flash of an eye, and all of this is good and beautiful if the fates let it. Say, the happier they. So this boy and girl, they are happy, and if the fates please, they are happy. Draw yourself up from the light of the moon, and let them pass, as they will too soon. So let these things pass, let these ideas go. With the bean flower's boon, and the blackbird's tune, and May and June. So May will pass, June will pass, the tune of the blackbird will pass, the bean flowers, when there are lots of bean flowers, all of these things will pass. Yes, all of these things are only temporary, and all of these things are always changing. And this is, he's trying here, I think, to describe the part of England that is in him, the part of his memory where he is. And then we change, and now we go to Italy. What I love best in all the world is a castle, precipice-encurled, in a gash of the wind-grieved Apennine. So now he says, but what I actually really love, and yes, England is part of me, but what really pulls my soul is a castle on the top of a precipice in the Apennine hills. Or look for me, old fellow of mine, if I get my head from out of the mouth of the grave, and loose my spirit bands, and come again to the land of the lands. So if my spirit comes out of the grave, if my spirit starts to roam, then I'm certain my spirit will come back to the land of lands. It will come back to Italy. In a seaside house to the farther south, where the baked cicada dies of drought. So his soul will go to this castle in the Apennines, or maybe it will go to a seaside house that is more to the south, where the baked cicada dies of drought. So there are the baked cicada is a type of cicada. Is the cicada, and this cicada is dying of drought. And one sharp tree, there's one tree, a cypress tree, stands by the many 100 years red rusted, rough iron spiked, ripe fruit o'er crusted. So, and there's a cypress tree, and the cypress tree has got this reddish colour. I think it's because it's dry and it's perhaps diseased, and it's got this rusty colour, and it's full of these balls which are the fruit of the cypress. Rough iron spike, so it's like this spike going up. My sentinel to guard the sands to the water's edge, and this cypress tree, it's like a guard. It's guarding the sand. It's watching that everything's all right. For what expands before the house but the great opaque blue breath of sea without a break? And in front of the house is by the sea, is by the ocean, and all you can see is this blue sea, and there's no break in it at all. This is not at all like the greeny brown English sea. And this is something that he loves. While in the house forever crumbles some fragment of the frescoed walls. So the house inside the house, the walls have frescoes, but these are crumbling. And time changes everything. Time moves everything on. But this house inside, the walls are slowly crumbling, but you can see the frescoes. From blisters where a scorpion sprawls. So there's a scorpion lying, and I think the scorpion is the subject of the fresco, and they're blisters. It's coming off, but you can still see this scorpion. A girl barefooted brings and tumbles down on the pavement fresh green flesh melons. And then there's this vision of a girl who's putting melons on the pavement. She's selling her melons. Green flesh, so these melons are green inside. And says there's news today. So she says there's news. The king was shot at, touched in the liver wing, goes with his Bourbon arm in a sling. So somebody shot at the king today, the king of Italy. And this is talking about the uncertainty, the problems in the unification of Italy at that time, and the king was shot at, and he was hurt, perhaps in the liver wing, but he goes with his arm in a sling. So the king is going round with a sling, and this is talking about the changing times again. She hopes they have not caught the felons. So she hopes they haven't actually caught the people who shot the king. So she's clearly not a royalist. She's not happy about this unification of the Italian state. Italy, my Italy, Queen Mary's saying serves for me. When fortune's malice lost her Calais, open my heart and you will see graved inside of it, Italy. Now, this is a reference to Mary the First. Mary the First, during her reign, the town of Calais in France which was a British possession, was lost back to the French. And Queen Mary had a saying that she said, "When I die, if you open me up, you will find written on my heart Philip the King of Spain, who was her husband, and Calais." And Calais is something that was lost. So if you open up his heart, you will see graved inside it Italy. On his heart will be written Italy. Such lovers old are I and she. So I love Italy so much. It's such a beautiful place. So it always was, so shall ever be. And I love Italy, and this is something that my love for Italy has always existed and will continue forever. So he's talking about tastes, the tastes of different people. He's talking about his memories of England, but Italy is the place that he always wants to be. So, De Gustibus by Robert Browning.